Hey guys, this is Jim Welsh again from Environment One, and what we're doing today is a top-level navigational tutorial for the Sentry Advisor 2.0 web interface. We're not going to go into very great detail for every single feature and functionality. We do hope to at least touch on what it is and how you're going to interact with it as you access 2.0 and continue to grow your monitoring network. So the first thing you're going to notice on this screen is the web address. This is a staging website used for development purposes only. I'm using this for the demonstration today. That way any changes that I make in the actual website aren't going to affect live customer product. Today is actually August 27th, so for the past 9 days, Sentry Advisor 2.0 has been live. We do have a couple sites on it already, so again, another reason for us to stay in the development site. The physical address you'll be using to access Sentry Advisor 2.0 for the time being is going to be sentryadvisor.htt.io. This will eventually change. We're in the process of posting a splash page, and the splash page will be accessed by logging into either sentryadvisor.com. It's kind of what you guys are familiar with already, or some of you guys are also familiar with e1sentryadvisor.com. That's the preferred web address, and all of those will direct you to a splash page. What you're going to see is this button for Sentry Advisor 2.0, and you'll also see a button probably directly above it for Sentry Advisor 1.0 access. Eventually, once we migrate every device from Sentry Advisor 1.0 to 2.0, the web address you log into, sentryadvisor.com or e1sentryadvisor.com, you'll type that in, and instead of seeing a splash page, you'll go right to this, the Sentry Advisor 2.0 login. Give me a second while I log in here for you. All right, so when we log into Sentry Advisor 2.0 for the first time, what you guys are going to see are all of your current accounts displayed. So current accounts in Sentry Advisor 2.0 are accounts where there are physical sites. So on the left-hand side of the screen, we're going to see the main account navigation menu. I'm using these terms because once we select certain other items, so account groups, this is the hierarchy, you're going to see another menu showing up in the bottom left-hand corner. The menu in the bottom left have a lot of the similar items as the top level accounts. The difference being the top left account menu is the main account menu. This is at your highest level, the distributor level, or if you were logging in as a lower level user, a customer account, that would be your customer account level. Below that is what we call the selected account navigation menu. So I'm E1. The main E1 groups are going to all show up here in the top left for me because I selected Chris Nedwick, Northeastern US region and Eastern Canada. All of the accounts accessible through Chris Nedwick's region are going to be available to us in the bottom left. And this would be the same thing for site-specific. Now, the selected account navigation menu, because I've selected site-specific from the E1 main group, they are the selected account navigation. So I wanted to point that out to you guys early just so you see a little bit of the variations between Sentry Advisor 1 and 2. In 1.0, we would have had a gray bar in the northern part of the screen directly below our standard drop-downs, your dashboard, account configuration, users, frequently asked questions, documentation, etc. That gray bar would expand with plus signs, and that was how you stepped through the hierarchy. What we're doing on the left-hand side here is a similar way, or excuse me, a different way to do the same thing. We're allowing you guys to see more of the hierarchy at one shot without needing to do the plus button expansions. So again, in the top left corner, we have the main account navigation menu. Account groups is where we set hierarchies. This does not have any sites associated with these breaks in the hierarchy, these levels in the hierarchy. What we're showing here is just the breakdown of parent-child. Obviously, E1 in this view is going to be the true parent. We are the top of the hierarchy. And underneath E1, we're going to have our region breakdown. For the distributor, what you would see is parent being you. You would be showing as the parent, similar to what you see right here for Signet Mechanical, and their children, their sub-accounts, they've chosen to break their territory down into states or half states. So Arizona, Northern California, Southern California. If we had another layer under this, what we would see is the parent is Arizona, and the sub-account could be Phoenix, or however they chose to break break Arizona down into smaller bite-sized sections, either municipality, service center, third-party provider. It could be county. Again, it's up to you guys to break down your territory in a way that's best fit for how you are choosing to sell, market, and maintain your monitoring network, your advisor network. So again, once we get through the account breakdown, the account groups, and you guys have created the hierarchy that you're looking for, then we can actually start getting to the actual accounts where physical sites live. Before we jump, what I'll show you right now really quickly is just how to add pieces of your hierarchy. So how to take your territory and break it down. There's a little green plus button in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You click that, and it's pretty self-explanatory from here. You're going to enter the name of the new piece of hierarchy. The abbreviation is actually what's going to show up. So if you use anything in abbreviation, just make it meaningful for you. Account number is completely optional. This is for you guys to help ensure that your record keeping is identical to however you're managing your vendors, your customers, your end users, however you would like to classify them. And again, description's the same deal. If there's some special piece of information that you need to associate with an account group, feel free to enter it here. And then the parent should be unmodifiable. We do allow right now, this is free type. I would ask that you leave it alone until we ensure that it's going to function the way we want to, that it's going to tie it back to the proper piece of the hierarchy. So once you're happy with the account group you created, hit save, and then now it's here. So parent is E1. The sub-account group is test. So if I went into test and I wanted to create another account group under test, again, you can see the selected account navigation menu is what we just selected from the main account menu. Test account groups. Again, the process is completely identical. We're in the new account groups. We're going to create lower level test. Once you're happy with all the information that you've selected, you'll hit save. So now if we look at main account groups, what we will see is E1 is the parent, again, our main account. The sub account is test. Test now is also not just a child, but it's also a parent, the hierarchical relationship. And underneath test as the parent, there's another child, lower level test. So you can see the hierarchy is going to be displayed in more easily viewable fashion. You can see a larger piece of your hierarchy, and again, what you guys will not see is what I'm seeing right here. Again, being E1, we're on the top of the hierarchy, so we're going to see every single piece of that hierarchy from our set account. So once we're in to the area that we want to be, so we've created our hierarchy the way we would like, and now we're ready to start creating an account that's actually going to hold sites. So that's a big difference between, again, these two pieces of our main navigation menu. Account groups is setting up your territory's hierarchy. Accounts is creating buckets where we can add sites to. So from here, this is again E1's test. So we've got a few accounts on here already. E1 test units, E1 tests distributor sub-account, and then the Florida Keys Aqueduct Authority down in FJ Nugent's territory. So if I wanted to create a new account that we are going to assign sites to, again, same deal. It's the bottom right-hand corner, green plus button. Add your test account name. We'll call this test account 1A. Again, abbreviations are going to be what is displayed, so make them meaningful for you. The account number is a way for each distributor to customize their account creation and make it meaningful for the way they do business. Description, if there's any special criteria, if there are considerations that are needed when we're logging into an account. If we want to make it easily accessible and we could just see it with a single click, throw your descriptions in here. We are now also setting the time zone for the set account. And then account groups, again, this does have a free type ability. We're going to say park on this for now, and we want to make sure that when we choose to use this feature that we're going to be assigning it to the proper account group parent account. So once you're happy with the information you have in, go ahead and click Save. And now we've created test account 1. Inside this test account is where we are now able to add sites. On the left-hand side of our screen, again, I'm reinforcing this a lot just because this is a little bit of a change to the norm of how you guys have previously interacted with Sentry Advisor. Top left-hand corner is your main account navigation menu. So this is distributor level navigation. Below that is the selected account navigation menu. So main account for me is E1. The selected account that I'm in currently is test account 1A. And you can see below that I have a full menu setup of things that I can do inside test account 1A. So again, the first thing that we would want to do is add a site. This will also be a little different and hopefully a little more convenient and straightforward when we're setting up a new site on Sentry Advisor 2.0. First thing we're going to do is click that green plus button in the bottom right hand corner, and you're going to notice now that we have access to add up to 4 pumps on a single site. This is a big improvement over Sentry Advisor 1.0 where we were limited to 2 pumps per site. So for this, we'll just go ahead and make it pretty easy. We're going to do a basic simplex single pump system. Once we click 1 pump, now we're going to figure out what type of panel we have. So there's 2 options, standard and advanced. Note that when we say standard, we mean everything that's not a Protect Plus, Duplex Protect Plus, or Quad Protect Plus. If it's got a plus in the name, we're going to use advanced. If it doesn't have a plus in the name, we're going to use standard. So we'll go ahead and select advanced. This is going to be more things for me to show you guys as we make it through this top level demonstration. Modem now, so we don't have any modems set up on this brand new test account, and if we did, what we would see is a list of available MEIDs, or ESNs, however you would like to classify it, the modem identification numbers. Generally, it's going to be a 4674 and then another 6 digits, 6 numbers after that. So we can skip that for now, so that's kind of allowing us to create what I'll call a placeholder. So we'll skip the modem. Sites group, we're going to show you guys a little later in this demonstration on how to create a custom sites group. Think of this as a way to further break down a given account, and it allows us to restrict access so that homeowners can see certain sites but not the entire account inside of a single account. And again, makes it easier for you guys to manage, and it also limits access to people that we only want to provide selected information for. So again, we have no site groups created, so we can skip that and move on to the next. And now we can start typing in physical address. So for this one, we're just going to pretend that it's living here at E1 with all of us at the building. I apologize for my awful typing. These will, like you can see here, auto-populate, so as you've used it a few times, you're going to start to kind of create a little bank of information at the web interface, so not the system itself, but Chrome, Firefox, Mozilla, whatever browser you're using. They all kind of have a little bit their own custom features and tools, but you can auto-populate. So I'm going to use the E1 physical address, 2773 Balltown, Niskayuna, New York. And our zip. Now, if I had a Latin long, I can type that in. And again, in some instances, we may actually have that. If we don't, what we can do is calculate map coordinates based on the physical address that we've typed in above. And what you can see here is an actual map of the property that you are installing the advisor in shows up. So let's say I typed in E1 back simplex. So surprisingly enough, this is actually the back right-hand corner of the building. I can move the world. I've always thought that's really awesome. Sentry Advisor is doing that one piece of data at a time, but you guys are going to be able to do it right here. We're going to move the world around the pin. The pin is going to stay dead center in the map itself. and we can actually dial in the physical location of where the station actually is. Now, when you guys are going to a service call, it's got a Sentry Advisor unit on it. You can pull this up, take a peek at the map, and know exactly where the station is installed. No hunting, no stabbing core wrenches into the ground, no asking the homeowner where the station is if it's buried underground. Hopefully it's not. But now we have an actual full physical location as to where a station is installed. Now, once you move it, so you can see, I'm going to move this real fast. The Latin longs take a few seconds to update. Do not hit set until the Latin longs readjust after you've physically moved the map itself. Once the Latin longs readjust, go ahead and hit set. Now we've created our site. So we've got a single pump. It's an advanced panel, so Protect Plus. We chose to skip the modem. We don't have that configured yet. We don't have any site groups assigned to our test account. And we've got a physical location, so the name of the site that we've chosen to give it, E1 back simplex. This is just a confirmation page allowing you to view what you've done. If you needed to make changes, go ahead and click that back button. If not, if you're happy, hit save. Now that we've hit save, we will actually have a tile. So what you see here is the new version of how we're going to display sites on a dashboard. So in essence, this is a lower level account dashboard. We're only going to have a single row. We're not going to have multiples over here and all the way to the right. It's going to be a single row straight down that you can search through. You can find by keyword. You'll have plenty of access on how to filter and navigate. So we're going to click into the site. We're going to open up the actual site's lowest level page. And again, you're going to see some more differences here between Sentry Advisor 1.0 and Sentry Advisor 2. We did not choose to mirror the actual user interface after a Protect Plus panel. In concept, that was an awesome idea from us back when we began Sentry Advisor 1.0. But at the end of the day, what it ended up doing was wasting a lot of space on the actual website itself, on the interface that you guys are interacting with on a daily basis. So what we've tried to do here is strip out a little bit of the unnecessary fluff and give you guys meat, more information, more power, less button clicks, less navigation required to get the information that's going to benefit you, the customers, the municipalities, and everybody we're doing business with. So the first thing that we're going to see when we log into an individual site is a status page. So on the top left-hand corner, the pump is not running. Now, again, we're going to pretend that we actually have a modem assigned to this, so ignore the little thing in the bottom. The pump is not running. If the pump was running, you would see pump 1 on. This would show up as green. Below that, we're going to have a last power reading. So this is because we selected advanced panel. This is a little bit of that serial data or the advanced data coming through. We'll get volts, amps, and watts from the last time the device pushed data out. Below that, we're going to see total cumulative information as well as today's information, very similar to what we had on 1.0. We did remove at the end of life on 2.0, we removed the total accumulators. That was a memory sink. We're bringing it back now. We've always found this very valuable, especially when we can tell when the station's going in, how long it's been alive. You can use total cycles and total runtime to figure out, based on the application, is this pump running what we expect it to? If it's a single family residential, we expect 20 to 30 cycles a day. If this thing's been in a week and already broke 500 cycles cumulatively, that's probably something that you guys would want to check out, make a proactive phone call to the customer for, and figure out what they have that is throwing the pump into runs more frequently than we were expecting. Water softeners, sump pumps, a crack in the tank, infiltration through the tank lid itself, something that's causing the pump to cycle more frequently. And again, that's the power. This is what sets the advisor apart from anything else, is the ability to predict that we have a problem, to see that there is a problem, even before the station goes into a physical alarm or before a physical problem with the pump manifests. We'll be able to see that it is not normal operating conditions and potentially make a change before the pump fails. That's saving money for the end user. That's saving time for you and the community that you're working in. It's all around power. And again, today's cycles, this is always a great one. especially again, we were just talking about the site that's running more frequently than it should. If you happen to pop into a site just to investigate an alarm event and you see it's noon and it's already ran 100 cycles, that's definitely a problem, and we want to look at that. Or more likely, what you're going to see is when you log in at noon, you might see 5 cycles. So we're going to see normal information. You're going to see normal run times. Below the general pump status information, the ons, the power reads, and our cycles, we're going to see a status of alarm, power, and communications. So right now we have high-level alarm cleared. So this site does not have an active high-level alarm. If it did, this would show up as a bell, and I'll show you that when we bounce back to one of E1's test accounts. We'll show you what an active high level looks like. AC power unknown. We're getting unknown because, again, we don't have a modem assigned to the site, so we don't know if that modem, this no modem, actually has its 12 to 15 volt DC power fed to it. And again, same thing with the watt meter communications. We don't know what the status of the communications is because there's no assigned modem, so that's why we're throwing up a fault here. Now, we're also going to have a view all advanced data. This is just one piece of the advanced data that you will get from a Protect Plus panel. We're also going to have a downloadable register view that's going to show you all of the registers from every single cycle that has happened on this station. So every time we push data, that's going to come with somewhere between 109 and 130 different registers that provide very useful information, and think of them as snapshots. Every time we push data, we're taking a snapshot of all of the logs inside of the Protect Plus panel. And then the next time we push data, we're taking another picture and another picture and another picture. So we're able to compare pictures at 2 different dates, calculate the changes in between, and you guys will be able to get a lot of benefit out of that if at certain times of the day wattage is spiking, if at certain times of the day we're more prone to a high level alarm, or we can actually look and cross-reference the basic data with the advanced data in terms of run cycles, just to make sure the solid-state relay boards inside of the Advisor kit are functioning properly and picking up all of the cycles that we expect. Below that, we're going to see just a standard modem check, and I will bounce back up to our test accounts here just to kind of show you what should be showing on that little bottom left-hand corner section. Again, another enhancement over the basic Sentry Advisor is the ability to see what our signal strength was. So in a normal station that's got a modem assigned, it's going to tell us what the modem serial number is. It's going to tell us what network it's communicating on, be it AT&T or Verizon. The last recorded signal strength in decibels. I'm hoping to get our developers to add a legend here that explains what -69 decibels means in terms of the range of signals available. Is 69, is this truly a 5-6 bar signal, or are we kind of on the hairy edge? Is this barely communicating? So based on the bars, this looks like a fairly strong signal, but again, that's an assumption on my part. So hopefully we'll get a little legend baked in here that gives you guys a little more clarity as to what this number actually means in terms of raw signal strength. Below that, we're also going to see the last time this device has communicated data, pump, run, an alarm, a power event. And for this specific site, it was yesterday afternoon, so 4:30. Again, based on this address, I believe this is a work trailer. So again, 9 to 5 jobs, a 4:37 p.m. runtime. Seems pretty normal. Nothing happened overnight. Again, expected with a station that is not experiencing any infiltration or installation-related problems. So this is something that we now have access to in 2.0 that we didn't in 1, at least not this easy to see. So this is great in terms of just providing you guys as much information right off the rip as we can without you having to click 100 buttons to get to all the lower level areas that provide the same amount of information. The next thing that we're going to do from the individual site, I'll stay inside this test account because the next few tabs are going to actually have some data in it that's going to be important for us to see. So alarms. What this alarms is very similar to the alarms/trouble events bubble you would click on the main dash from Sentry Advisor 1.0. And again, we've migrated from bubbles to just tabs, a little easier to navigate, much faster response times. And it's going to provide you the same information with a few things stripped out. We're not going to reiterate what site we're on like we did in 1.0. We're not going to call out a sensor number that doesn't mean very much to you. We're going to give you what the event was, when it occurred, time stamped. And then you can also see in the right-hand corner, notification logs. So this event was acknowledged by a technician, and then if the event was not acknowledged, you'll see that there's no physical name to the right of the timestamp, and then inside the event itself, you're not going to see an acknowledgement mark, but you will see who was notified and when for each individual event. Now, this just gives you events for this one site. So you can see alarms here. It's tied to the physical address that we're at. Another really awesome enhancement that you guys have asked for, and honestly, so have we, is we're going to have 1,000 units, 5,000 units, 10,000 units possibly for a single account. I don't want to have to click 1,000 different sites to figure out what alarm events have been happening from all of the sites in a given account. In the top right hand corner, in blue bar, the account bar, you're going to see a bell with a either green or red circle. Green generally means that there's no unacknowledged or active events. If there's a red circle with a number in it, that's going to tell us that there are active alarms present for a given account. We call this the global alarms notification menu. Now I'm going to hop over to E1 test units, and we should have just a few active events. So when we click on that, we see events that are active from every site in a selected account. So we've got a power loss in the front duplex, we've got a power loss at one of our engineers' homes, and inactivity at both as well. So the front duplex station and our engineer's home have all reported inactivity and power losses. So the inactivity is a result of the loss of power, which is great. You can easily understand that with just a quick look. And we can see that those mirror the events from the individual sites alarms menu. So an easy way to see all of the sites that need immediate attention are using that global alarms notification menu. And then from there, we can actually jump into whatever site we wanted to look at. From duplex, our engineer's home. It's very quick navigational redirection through different menus that we have access to. Again, that's an amazing quality of life improvement over Sentry Advisor 1.0, where we would have to go back to a dashboard, find the site that we wanted to look at, click on the little pump icon, then click alarm trouble events. Now it's as simple as click your notifications menu, click the event, and that brings you right to the alarms submenu, the tab for that specific site. The next thing that we have for an individual site is going to be pump cycles. I'm going to bounce back over to the Florida Keys account. That's collecting some real life data for us. Pump cycle. So again, very similar setup to Sentry Advisor 1.0 with one small change. We're not providing you the end time stamp. We're just going to give you the start time and the duration. From there, we can figure out when it physically ended. We're also going to remove sensor numbers. That was never displayed. It was there behind the scenes. But again, the goal here is don't clutter the screen. Give you guys the most important and powerful information. That way, we're seeing only what we need to see and our eyes aren't bothered with useless information. So we can see here at full timestamps what pump from the system. If this was a duplex, tri, or quad, we're going to see the cycles arranged by time. Obviously newest to oldest, and whatever pump was running is what we're going to tag it as. We also have the ability to go backwards in time by month. We can download reports again by month. There's also going to be an ability to provide a selected time frame download. So if we wanted to see March through June, we'd be able to select March and then June and then download the report that way. For now, what we're just giving you guys is 1 month snaps. 1 month is pretty meaningful in terms of what we're doing from a monitoring standpoint. And if there was multiple pumps here, we can filter pumps on and off. That way, again, we're only looking at the information that's important to us. So this is a very, very slick pump cycle report and breakdown, a display for us to kind of get a feel for what the pump's doing, when it's running, is it running when we want it to? And again, just looking through here really quickly, I don't see anything that's out of the ordinary. I see run cycles as early as 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning here, and run cycles as late as 5:30 p.m. So we're not doing any overnight run cycles. I don't see any short cycles. So from a health of the station, just taking 15 seconds to scroll through a handful of basic pump performance logs, pump cycle logs, the station looks like it's running fairly well. Next up is notes. And again, another really powerful tool that is powerful now. We've had access to it back in Sentry Advisor 1.0. We would assign a note to an alarm event. That alarm event would then need to be re-accessed every single time to view a note on a specific event. That was nice, the fact that we had them there. The hard part was actually finding the note that you created. It could have been a month ago, 3 months ago, or 3 years ago for that matter. And finding it would become a challenge. So for here, we've done a little bit of work to make sure that notes actually have a functional use. So the notes again follow the same standard process for creation, green plus sign in the bottom right hand corner. Title of the note, then a description. JW called the homeowner and scheduled a service call. Customers requested that we show up at 9 a.m. Tuesday. Save. Now the note has been created, and let's say we just leave. We go back to the sites list, and now I want to find that note that I just wrote. In your sub-account menu, selected account navigation menu, you'll click on notes, and we can either search by text, by start date, by end date, and because we only have a couple of notes in here, obviously you guys can see it right there on the main screen, but now I can find that note, what site that it was associated with, when the note was left, who wrote it, and a description of the note. So this becomes a lot more functional for you guys. Again, the power of the notes section, the power of all of the advisor's features and functionality are going to be a direct result of how you choose to interact with it. Our goal was to make sure that interacting with any individual feature or any individual function was as efficient and smooth as possible. So we've kind of bounced around a little bit. We were targeting mostly the top level main account group. Again, we showed you guys in the main accounts group. What we're doing, we're setting hierarchies. Once we get done setting our hierarchy, we navigate down to the account group. So this is where sites are actually going to live. We've showed you guys how to create a selected account, and inside of a selected account, how to actually create a site. We've also showed you on the features of each individual site, the new modifications to the dashboard, our status, alarms, pump cycles, notes section, and then we'll wrap up with the reporting. Again, no modem assigned to the site, so we don't have any reports to provide you. So what we will do is we'll go back to the Florida keys, and we'll show you the final piece of the main site dash, the reports section. And what we're going to see here is kind of standard high-tide technology. This is how they choose to display most of their reports and their interfaces. We are going to be adding more to this, but for now, what we're giving you is 4 different submenus, one being time of the day. So we're going to look at the top left, and you can see some of the basic filters that are already automatically applied. We're looking at run times over the last 180 days, so 6 months. What we're going to see here is 24 individual columns, and what it's telling us is which time block, so each one of the 24-hour columns equals 1 hour, 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., so forth. How much runtime occurred in that 1 hour time block. So just looking at this block, I can see the 2 tallest, 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. So again, this could be break time, this could be early lunches and late lunches, who knows. But for the last 6 months, the time block of the 2 most frequently cycled times are going to be 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. We can also change that obviously by calendar year. And instead of run times, we can show by cycles. And again, when you click any of these drop downs, it refilters the entire reporting section. So by cycles, again, what we're seeing is pretty consistent. 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. are still, from a quantity of cycles that have occurred during those hour blocks, They are the highest over the last 180 days. So we're going to go back to runtimes and move over to the top center table. And what this is showing us is 7 columns broken down by day of the week. So which days of the week have the most runtime, or if we drop this to cycle counts, have the most cycles. We would see Monday through Friday, obviously, is where the lion's share of the runtime and the cycles are occurring. Again, I believe 755 Blimp is a business trailer for a construction job. So we expect them Monday through Friday, the standard business hours. So that data is supported, or that assumption is supported by what we're seeing in terms of the data coming in. There are a few weekend run cycles, and again, that could be busy times for them, or they needed to run a 6-7 day shift. But what we do see here is 10 minutes of runtime on Mondays over the last 6 months. And again, that's all of the run times on every single Monday for the last 6 months. So in 6 months, we've had 10 minutes of Monday runtime, 6 minutes of Tuesday, 7 minutes of Wednesday, etc. And this total section, this just breaks down by pump. So top right-hand table, this pie chart, this is actually useful really only for a duplex, triplex, or a quad. This is showing each pump's breakdown of the total runtime for the given period. So for this pie chart, pump 1 is at 100% of the runtime on 755 Blimp Road. That's because it's a simplex system and there is only one pump in the site. Now below this, what we're going to see is a table that shows individual runtimes per day by runtime itself. And again, we can change that to cycles if we chose to. But what we're seeing here is on April 8th, again, one day per column, and the total runtime for that given day. So April 8th, we had 13 minutes of runtime. April 9th, we had 40 seconds, and so forth all the way through. Below this, you'll see a slider. And that slider allows us to dial in what we want to focus on for a given reporting section. And then I mentioned earlier that this is standard high-tie technology. This is very common on all high-tide interfaces that I've had experience with, so I'm assuming you guys also are going to have a little bit of familiarity with it. Again, this just allows us to kind of filter our data set and get more of a fine-tuned view as to what we want to see. Now, from here, there is also going to be added report functionality. I'm going to call it a report library or a report repository. So as we, E1, create new reports that are required for certain jobs that we have across the country, those reports will be built by E1, delivered to the customer and to the developer of the site. The developer will then import the report into the actual reports interface, and it will be available for all distribution service providers, anybody with an account level access to the site. Let's say, for instance, next week a different distributor chooses to ask for a different report. Same process. E1 will build it, will provide it to the customer and the developer. The developer will then, probably in a couple of weeks' time, within a couple of weeks, have that report added to the library. Eventually this library is going to grow large and you guys will have access to a very, very large group of reports. Again, taking it one step farther from that, our vision of Sentry Advisor from day one, 5+ years ago, was not for you guys to log into the advisor every day and inspect your sites, inspect your projects and accounts. We want the advisor to tell you when it is important to log in, when there is an issue, or when an abnormality is recorded, maybe before a problem has even occurred. So one of the very near future enhancements that will be added to the report section is going to be what I call the Monday morning auto report. Let's say, for instance, this site happened to be a duplex, and the data is exactly like this. One pump is doing all of the runtimes. The other pump hasn't done anything in 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. What the advisor is going to recognize is that there is an imbalance in pump operation. One pump is running way more than the other pump in the tank. The advisor on Monday would say, 755 Blimp Road, imbalanced duplex operations. Should be investigated. Customer contact may be required. Service call may be required. The message that we choose to provide on the auto report can vary depending on what you guys choose to see and what we choose to provide as well. That'll be a two-way street in terms of how we're going to build it. But that's a Monday morning report. You guys didn't log in. It goes to the email boxes of who's ever chosen to be notified of the auto dumps. And from there, now we can see, hey, we have one pump doing all the work, one pump not doing anything. There's been no alarms recorded on the site, so now the power is in our hands. We can choose to notify the customer and explain to them what we're seeing. We're seeing data come through from one pump only. There's a high likelihood that one pump in this system is down. How would you guys like us to handle it? Would you like us to come out Monday through Friday, normal business hours, keep the costs as low as possible, and potentially fix the station, fix the issues, be it an installation issue, an application issue, or a product performance issue, before something catastrophic happens? This is saving them money and allowing you guys to schedule work rather than work schedule you. If this was left unattended for another couple of weeks, couple of months, to the point where the other pump 1, fails, now this could be a 2 a.m. Saturday morning service call, when right now we can choose to schedule it whenever we would like to. So this again goes back to, this is as effective as you guys make it and as we help you make it. We need to be efficient so you guys can be effective. So this Monday morning auto report, again, we're going to be working on the development of this over the next couple of months, and hopefully we'll be able to have something dropped into this reports tab. Please feel free to reach out to myself or Jill Davis, and we'll walk you through some of the visions that we have for the Sentry Advisor 2.0 advancement going forward. The reports tab, so this kind of completes the site navigation tutorial. We went through status, alarms, pump cycles, notes, and reports. Now we're back up to the main accounts because that's kind of where we've been focusing on initially. The next thing we're going to do is drop down to the Modems menu. So the Modems menu under your main account navigation menu just shows you as where you live in the hierarchy, what modems are in your control and installed underneath your level in the hierarchy, at or below your level. You'll see a few different statuses: inventory, installed, potentially decommissioned. These are the modems that you have access to move through your territory. The ones that are installed obviously need to be inventoried before they can be moved. But again, this is a very quick reference to see, all right, here's the serial numbers. Again, serial numbers you assign. So these can be meaningful to you and completely meaningless to anybody else that looks at it. The IMEI or the ESN or the MEID, this is the modem number itself. So 4644, this is a 3G Verizon CalAmp. Then we've got a 4674. This is a 4G LTE Verizon or AT&T. Again, can't tell you that just from looking at the number itself. And what the status is and who owns it, where it lives in the hierarchy. We'll be able to add new MEIDs or modems as you guys order them from us. You'll get the list. Either you will assign them here or E1 can do it. I think that still needs to be kind of worked out with how the modems are going to make it to the distributor level account. At this moment in time, I believe E1 will be moving them to your accounts for you. Once they're in your accounts, they're going to the distributor level account. It'll be up to the distributor to move them to sub-accounts, account groups, and so forth. Next up in the main account navigation menu is just the models of the modems. So you can see from here the device type, the device name, LMU 2630, LA and LV are classifications for service provider, AT&T and Verizon. This is a strictly informative table, explanatory. There's nothing that you guys will have to add here. Just as a refresher, if you're looking at a device in the field and you have a little a brain fart, you need to remember what network is this on. You can always go to the modem models, read the white label on the face of the modem, and it'll tell you LMU 2630 LA or LV, and this will tell you which service provider we're on. And then last up on the main account navigation menu is billing report. So you'll click it and hit download. There's really no additional filtering parameters you can put in. In the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the download go through your billing report. And this is just going to give you a breakdown of the device ID, any additional information that we added to the site, to the modem when we were creating it into the system or moving it to the system, where it lives, who the customer was, when the site was created, the first communication, and its layer in the hierarchy itself. So this will be used very heavily by you guys, especially when it comes time for billing. So I don't even want to open up that scary can of worms, but keeping it as simple as physically possible. E1 will build distributors, and distributors will build everybody else. So this is how you will find out who owns each given device, how many devices they own, and what they're responsible for paying for, be it monthly, yearly, or however you guys choose to break down your billing. For questions regarding billing, please reach out to your regional managers, and they will be able to give you a little bit more pointed information as to the billing process and some of the flexibility that we may be able to provide you in terms of billing end users. And that covers the entire main account navigational tutorial. So just a quick recap. Account groups. This is where we're creating our hierarchy. So again, parent-child relationship. As the parent, E1, we've created regions. From the regions, we have distributors that live under the region. Now the distributors become the parent, and underneath the distributor, you choose to break down your territory however you see fit. Again, this example, Cigna chooses to break down by state or half state, and if they chose to break that down farther, what we would see is Arizona shows up as the parent, and then either by project, by municipality, by county, however they chose to continue to break the region down by. So we're just creating hierarchies in the account group menu. Once we've got the hierarchy set, we go to accounts. Accounts is where we're creating the lowest level account where sites are actually going to be stored. Once we've created the account, then we can enter any of the accounts, view sites that already live there, or add new sites to it. Once we're inside of the sites, we have access to the main site dash with top level status, be it 1 all the way through 4 pumps. And this is a great one because it shows quadplex system with some data in it. We've got volts data on pump 3 and pump 1. We're missing some volts, amps, and watts on pump 2 and pump 4. We've got our status, we've got our modem health, the number, the network, the signal strength, and the last time it checked in. Once we clear the sites, we also have access to the modems, the modem models, again, reference material only, and then our billing report. One thing I glossed over was the users. So in the users menu, what we're doing here is adding users at the main level. So you can see we've got name, usernames, and then whatever the permission level we choose to set them up at. That will be visible here. Now, if we needed to set users up at a lower level, you either will go to the account group and then add users to the account group, and that means they can see everything from that group and below, or we can go right to the lowest level account where sites are actually going to live, and then create users in that account. So again, this illustrates the difference between your main account menu. So users from the main account are setting up users at your highest level. Generally, this is going to be at the distributor level. When we're creating users, let's say a homeowner, to access an individual site, we want to make sure that we're adding them as a user in the lower menu, the selected account navigation menu. I apologize for the redundancy on this, but again, this is one of the biggest differences between 1.0 and 2.0, is the main menu and the selected account navigation menu. All right, so we've covered that, a little recap of the main account menu. Now we can start going through the selected account navigation menu. First thing's very easy, straightforward, site list. So whatever selected account you happen to be in, if there are sites assigned to it, so for the account groups, obviously you're not going to see the site list because this is just hierarchy. The accounts menu, again, this was the lowest level that a site can actually live. You're going to see sites list available in the selected account navigation menu, showing you all of the sites for that selected account. Once we're here, now we can choose to see a site map. This is again very similar to high-tide technology. This is also fairly similar to the Sentry Advisor 1.0 kind of display. We're going to see a movable map that shows icons where the pumps live. Now, one difference is in 1.0, you can see a cluster here. In 1.0, there would have been one circle with a number inside of it. You couldn't really do anything from there. You could zoom in a little farther, and then the number changes to a couple of smaller numbers, or eventually to little checkboxes. Here, we didn't do that, and there's a reason why. We're giving you more power. So now I've got all of these individual sites. I want to look at one. You click on any given icon, and in the right-hand corner of your screen, you're going to see basic information display for that site. This is awesome. This is single-click status of any site just by looking at the map. If, let's say, for instance, this said high-level alarm in. It's red, it's got a little icon, and I want to look at it a little more. Now I can just click right on the name from the submenu I popped from the map, and it's going to bring me right into that pump status. Now I can go all the way through this site's main dash, get the information that I need to get, hit the back arrow, and it takes me right back to the map. This is a very, very interactive map. It is awesome. I hope you guys enjoy the features of this. This is great. And then from here, we can actually do the same thing. If I don't like where the pin lives on any individual site, I can click on the site itself, edit the address, and move the pins. Move it to where I want, hit save, and then roll right back to the map, and we can move on to our investigation or just to our poking around and checking on the status of a given project. Below this, you're going to see site groups. So we mentioned this a little earlier when we were creating a site, that we can assign sites to a site group. So we do this so that way we can either assign custom notifications to a given group that, let's say, north and south habitat landing, we're setting two different service providers to cover these two pieces of the habitat landing. And one of them is going to have either special notifications that the other one doesn't, or vice versa. So we'll set these groups up, that way we can create custom notifications for these. We also can have map displays of just the selected group. So this is habitat landing north, and let's say I want to see habitat landing south. So that's actually kind of funny. It looks like south is north and north is actually east. So again, we can customize sites in an account by group. That way we can control notifications and again allow more focused notifications and more focused control of an account for the distributor, for the third-party provider, the municipality, whoever is actually responsible for managing and maintaining the advisors in the system itself. Again, below that we have another custom group test. So how we create these is under settings. That's the bottom icon in the selected account navigation menu, settings, and you'll see custom site groups is a display table, and in the bottom right hand corner you'll have a little green plus sign again with new sites group, and from here you'll just create the name, test 1 or test 2 or whatever name you choose to use, and then we can save. Now you'll notice a button here, it says filter notifications during mass outage. So if you choose to select that, the mass outage filter will block any alarm or alert to a group until the messages are clear. If a number of alerts equaling the start threshold are received for sites in the group within the start outage window, the outage notification is triggered. If a number of alerts less than that are received from the sites group during the clear outage window, then the outage will be cleared. So be very conscious of what we're doing. We're technically hiding notifications until certain thresholds are tripped before we notify you. We're doing this because let's say you've got 100 units that are pretty tightly packed and we expect power to be an issue. Let's say you're in the Florida Keys and hurricanes happen to sweep through. We would love for you guys not to get 100 individual text messages saying power loss, power loss, power loss, power loss. So this filtering of notifications during a mass outage like that helps us control the number of notifications a customer is going to receive if a large number of notifications occur in a very short amount of time. So again, be conscious when you use it. There are absolute benefits from using it, and there also is going to be the ability for us to kind of hide notifications, so you might miss some things when you use this feature. If you choose not to use it, just leave it unchecked and hit save. Once you hit save, you'll see this custom site group show up now, and we have the ability to go to the sites list, settings, and then site groups. So all of the groups that we have would be right here. So next up, after we've created or fully assigned all of the account groups that we were interested in, again, we have the ability to add users at this selected account navigation layer. So again, we're in the Florida Keys. So these users you see here are assigned at this level. So the only thing that they can see are units in the Florida Keys Aqueduct Authority and lower, meaning if there was custom accounts created beneath this level, not above. So above is distributor. Below would be smaller sections of territory, smaller than the Keys. Let's say, for instance, Islamorada. It's an island in the Keys. That could be its own account underneath the Florida Keys. This group of users would see Islamorada and all of the rest of the Keys accounts. So keep that in mind. We're working in the selected account navigation menu. So knowing what we're looking at is going to help us understand what we're doing. And right now we'd be creating users that live at the Florida Keys Aqueduct Authority level, which would give them the ability to see everything at that level and below them. Below that is going to be modems available to this selected account. So they've got a little over a dozen devices here. They mostly are installed. Looks like we've got one in inventory. And from here, we can add a little bit of additional information, serial numbers, contact phone numbers, and again, this will show up on the billing report if you choose to use a contact number for a given device. Below this, notes, very similar to what I showed you earlier. Notes allows us to see every note that was entered for this account. We can filter it, we can download a report, we can set dates to pull ranges of notes out of. That could be pretty handy, especially if we're seeing a higher number of service calls or notifications come through during storms, if we've got infiltration or if there's power quality issues at certain times of the day, the month, the year. Below that is alarms history. So this is pretty similar to the global alarms notification menu that we've got in the top right hand corner. The big difference between the two is the global alarms notification only shows you the active alarms for that account. The alarm history shows you every alarm, be it active, cleared, or acknowledged for the account. And then again, if we click the event, we can see when it occurred, if it was acknowledged, and what notifications were created as a response to that event. We can filter by start dates, end dates, download reports. We've also got bubbles that we can filter by active, cleared, active and not acknowledged, all, the whole shooting match. Next up in the selected account navigation menu is the notification settings. This gives us the ability to create our notifications. One big thing that distribution had asked E1 for in Sentry Advisor 1.0 was the ability to create notifications in bulk. This is just that. So you can see right here at the top all sites and then all of our custom account groups. Site groups, Habitat Landing North, South, Test, and Test 2. So each one of these selected, the site groups can have a custom notification created for them. So generally, let's say as a distributor for the territory you're covering, you're going to want to set it as all sites. So in all sites, every site in this account, we'd click the green plus button in the bottom right hand corner. You're going to get a list of users that are at this level eligible to receive events, notifications, and you pick. So what this is showing you is that before we create a notification for somebody, that somebody needs to be added as a user in the account. And another important thing to note is that if the user does not have a phone number or an email address, then we cannot create a notification for somebody that isn't fully configured in the system. So if you get this message, then go back to the person that you selected, update the contact information, and then recreate the notification structure. So if the user that you want to notify of an event only has a single method of contact, be it phone, then that's going to limit you as to what options we can give them. How should a notification be sent? Text, call, or both? We'll do both. Now this is also another pretty cool feature. How long should the alarm be active before setting the alarm? This, for all intents and purposes, is an alarm delay. So let's say, again, we're in the keys and we know that we're going to have 30-second power losses all the time. We can say 1 minute. This way, if any power loss occurs and is cleared within 1 minute, no notification will be sent. So this allows us to operate without nuisance power loss alarms or nuisance high-level alarms. So once we set the delay on the events, we'll hit set. Now this is a nag feature. So you'll see in the installation operations manual that we mention a nag feature. So if, let's say, a power loss occurs and it lasts 5 minutes, obviously this user is going to get a notification that there was a power loss event. If that user does not acknowledge the notification that they received, we can choose to have them re-notified that the alarm has not been cleared or acknowledged. So I'm going to select yes, we want to nag them, and we're going to ask how often should they be nagged in the event that the notification, the alarm is still active. The default's 10 minutes. And we can obviously change that higher. It doesn't look like we can go lower from now. We'll set it to a 15-minute nag. And we also now have the ability to set shift differentials. So if you've got technicians that work Monday through Friday and no weekends, we can set that. If the technicians work Wednesday through Monday or Tuesday through Tuesday, we can set special shift notifications for them. If you don't have shift notifications, or if you just choose to blanketly send them out, then you can opt out and say no shift differentials. Now we also are going to ask, what types of notifications should the user receive? Alarms and alerts. So alarms, high level, power loss. Alerts are run dry, brownout, overpressure, the special messages, the troubles. You can select one of each or both. We're going to go for all. And then at the end, you're going to see, again, the same standard confirmation block. Review what you've selected. Once you're happy with it, then go ahead and click Save. If you need to make a change, click the back button. Make the changes that you need, then save your events. So again, what we just did was create one for all sites. The same process would be repeated if we wanted to create notifications for just Habitat Landing North or Habitat Landing South. Again, what we're doing there is we're reducing the quantity of sites that we're creating a notification for. Obviously, the next thing we see in the selected account navigations menu is reports. So reports here are two options similar to what we see in the Sentry Advisor 1.0, the basic report and our advanced report. We can click the download button and it's going to allow us to enter in some start dates. Again, by date, not by month necessarily. So pick the range of data that you want to download, and this will pull all of that information from every site in that account out and into an Excel sheet. So this is great. This is an accumulation of every site in the account, total runtime, which pump, if there was multiple pumps, you would see a couple entries, 755 blimp, pump 1, 2, 3, 4. Total cycles for that time period, average runtime, and again, we'll also have this populated gallons per cycle and total gallons pumped. This is a new feature that they've just put in, so I'm assuming that they haven't gotten the constant baked in yet. We use 11 gallons per minute as our constant. So what we would do is just take our total runtime, multiply it by 11 gallons per minute. That would give us gallons pumped. We would also take the average runtime per cycle and multiply that by 11 gallons per minute to get the approximate gallons per cycle that this station is moving. And then lastly, in the selected account navigation menu is settings. Again, from here, we can just see the basic info for the account that we're operating in. Name, abbreviation, description, time zone. Again, the description is for you primarily to add additional information that may be beneficial to you as you're managing your territory's breakdown. And below that is the custom site groups that you've created to, again, further specify sub-accounts and sub-territories inside of a given account to allow customized notifications for the selected account. There's going to be a fully functional installation operations manual, very similar to Sentry Advisor 1.0, that you guys can use as a quick reference. There are tons of screenshots, pictures to show you how to do everything we just talked about today. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback at all, please feel free to reach out to E1. Thank you guys all. Come see us on e1.com, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, all those fun social media things, and we'll catch you later. Thanks.